Well, Dr. Laffer, welcome to Suriname.
Thank you.
How have you been enjoying your trip?
Well, I've been enjoying it a lot, but far more than just enjoying it, I've been learning a lot. I mean, what I found here, I had no idea what to expect. And I found a country, a small country, 650,000 people, something like that, 60 languages, all that. But here is a level of patriotism, of focus on this country with very high quality people working all around the world, giving up their jobs elsewhere and coming back to serve Suriname. It's an amazing example of what a country can do and the potential. And I just hope that I can help all of you implement policies that which allow you to become a prosperous nation as well.
Oh, thank you. I highly appreciate you being here. And one of my first questions would be, what would your top priority be for policy?
Well, let me just say that I'm an economist, and everything I see is in economics. I'm not into social policies or anything, but where economics really hits the road, where it really does, is political economics. So you can never have a good set of economic policies without it first going through politics. And when I look at you, for example, Maya, you're one of the people I would put at the very highest level of the list of people who are really competent and who know what they're doing here. I mean, your father was one of the most renowned people in Suriname. And what you have here is getting good economic ideas, which is just incentives, and implementing through government actions so that the government role is greatly limited, because the people of Suriname are the only way Suriname's going to achieve prosperity. That's what's really obvious to me here. And you have one of the neatest groups of people I have ever seen in my life. You have the potential for greatness that is just astounding. If only government will get the heck out of the way and let your people be guided, yes, by government, but not controlled by government to create that prosperity.
Completely agree. I really think we can be the Singapore of the Western Hemisphere, as you said at the event recently.
Yes.
There are a couple of critical issues in our economy, which I'd like to discuss with you.
Sure.
One of them being something I've been very passionate about the last 8 years, is innovating in our capital markets. We have a non-existing capital market. We have a stock exchange that's an Excel sheet that goes around once a month, now twice a month. So no capital market whatsoever, no investor climate, no availability of risk capital for the private sector, so which limits growth, of course, and of course the ability of government even to finance itself. So of course you're much more knowledgeable about that problem and the limitations that it creates. So what's your take on that, if you look at Suriname?
Let me just say that, being a small country, it means you can take advantage of other countries and good things that they have. For example, you said stock market here. With 650,000 people, you can't have a New York Stock Exchange, but you can have Surinamese companies traded on the New York Stock Exchange. You can have a local subsidiary of the New York or the London market or some of the others. It's like your currency as well. You're a small country. You have a Surinamese dollar that has not performed well. You can choose and pick, if you like, countries that have other currencies that you may wish to adopt. For example, Panama uses the dollar, the Bilbao, which is convertible into a dollar. You can do what Menem did in Argentina with the currency board, which was done by Professor Steve Hanke. So you have a huge opportunity, being a small country, of being able to look at all the world and pick out the very best of the rest of the world and able to really rocket launch Suriname into prosperity. You can make this country phenomenal by adopting and adapting to the great best things done by many other countries. And that excites me. You have the opportunity to do really wonderful things. And I hear your conversation all the time, and you're amazing on the thoughts that you have and the dream that you have for Suriname. But Suriname can pick and choose. Yeah. And I would love to be able to help you pick and choose the best of the world's best products.
Well, you were recently in El Salvador with Kathy Wood, speaking about building new capital markets. El Salvador, similar to ours, not very well developed. And for example, today and yesterday you mentioned Bitcoin being an option, and as you know, it's one of the top or most distributed networks in the world.
Yes, it is.
The best distributed network in the world. So technology-wise, I see it as the best layer to build new capital markets on top of. So what would your perspective be on using innovation, a combination of innovation and the existing market infrastructure globally, and how we as a small country can leapfrog?
Yeah. Now, when I went to El Salvador with Bukele, Nayib Bukele, the president there, I mean, they had been the highest crime rate in the Western Hemisphere 5 years ago. Now you're now at the lowest crime rate in the Western Hemisphere because of Bukele. He simply stopped it with enforcement actions there. That's what I mean when you say you can pick and choose the issues. He had a real problem. He solved that problem. You have some problems here. Now, remember, you're 1/10 the size of El Salvador. It's a small country. You're a little bit, but you're right. There's no reason why you can't get the best technologies in the world. Why can't you be a Bitcoin country as well? Now the U.S. has a much bigger problem adapting because we have so much, but you can pick and choose. And I think you've been brilliant in your desire to incorporate Bitcoin into Suriname. It's a brilliant innovation. Why not? I look at the Surinamese dollar, and it's not doing very well. It's not. What I would do if I were you is I'd look the world over and say, what type of system would work best in Suriname? And let's bring it in, and let's do it. Panama did it with dollars. You may want to do it with something else. You may do it with Bitcoin. You may do it with Japanese yen, British pounds, euros, Chinese renminbis, or the US dollar. But it's like languages as well, Maya. You know, what you've talked to me about and what you've taught me, and I could never have imagined Suriname unless you'd been there and telling me about what's going on, because I think there's 60 languages being taught, very different language. But when you look, should you focus on being Dutch? Should you focus on being some tribal language, or should you focus on using English as your, you have these choices, and those will make a huge difference here in Suriname. It really will. You can launch this country by choosing and picking the best of the world. And that is why I'm so excited about your run for presidency. I mean, you understand the importance of getting the very best of everything for this country. Technology the best? Why not? Why not the best currency? Why not the best laws? Why not the best stock market? Adapting to whichever country you wish to adapt to. And you've got lots of resources. What bothers me about the country is the amount of indebtedness you have. And borrowing from the Chinese comes with a big problem. Because once you borrow from them, they own you. And you've got to pay them back. And there is no need for Suriname to become a net debtor nation. You've got beautiful resources of oil, bauxite, gold. Newmont Mining is a phenomenal company here, ranked one of the safest, best companies in the world. I mean, you've got so many resources here, especially your people. I mean, it's incredible.
Well, all of the staff at the Newmont mine, almost all of the staff at the Newmont mine actually are Surinamese. So I see no reason why we as a people would not be able, after, over a decade now, almost over a decade now, of Newmont being here, why would we not be able to build the second largest mine in the country, right, ourselves?
You should.
Or in collaboration, or as you said, hire the best,
yeah. And when
subcontract.
If I were you and were president of the country, I'd go to Newmont and ask them, what does it take for you to build the second mine? Make it the best, biggest. What do you need to help? Now, I understand Newmont is very environmentally conscious.
Yeah.
It runs a very clean things, and they don't pollute the waters, the air, the stuff. They get gold. It's a very big resource, a very big revenue source for your government to do things, infrastructure, other programs that you can do. You have the largest reservoirs of petroleum in the world, or very close to it. Why don't you get out there and find a company that would like to come and utilize it and develop it for the next 50 years? Ask them, make proposals to us. And,
Total
and that you
is,
can do that.
Total is actually investing 11 billion into Suriname. They're starting production in 2028. Well, starting to
Is that when
prepare.
you'll be, you're doing your second term?
First still.
Still.
But we're going actually to be encountering a lot of economic growth over the next couple of months and years. You know, if you look at Guyana next door, being one of the fastest growing economies in the world.
They're really doing well.
Exactly. We're going to be one of the fastest growing economies in the world. So I see a lot of opportunity for Suriname to develop, and we can take advantage of the royalties flowing in. Starting 2028, it's estimated that we will receive from the first well only 2.8 billion per annum. 2.8 billion is a good kickstart.
It's a big number.
It's a good kickstart
Yeah.
to get us up and running.
Make sure that when you get to be president, that you don't try to do it yourself. Make sure you get the foreign companies to bid so that Suriname gets the best opportunity and the best deal to do it, to develop this over a long period of time. Do it so you always have it, but then don't squander the money. That money is for the future of Suriname, not for paying off people not to work here. You want to create a good, productive society with people who want to work, who do work, and you can educate them so they are providing good, productive, high-class work. And you can do that, but don't squander the money like so many countries do, paying off political things here, there, and elsewhere.
I'm a big fan of, you know, creating a good, well-structured sovereign wealth fund
That's what you do.
with a very good strategy, long-term strategy on how to develop our country, and it should be, in my opinion, owned directly by the people, not by government or controlled by government. I feel that the people know what's best for them,
You're so right.
and that deregulate, decrease the size of government, decrease government control, enable free markets, enable free trade and innovation, encourage innovation. I'm a big fan of innovation in nuclear and energy, so I'd like to see nuclear in Suriname, small modular thorium reactors. I'd like to see more innovation in free trade zones, and we can be a hub logistically,
You can.
ocean and air freight.
Can you imagine with your sovereign wealth fund having enough money to be able to run government, the schools, the highways, the judiciary, the military, the police, that?
Well, actually, I'd like to privatize the schools.
Privatizing the schools would be wonderful. I
education.
agree. But let's imagine we have there, and that you can provide that without taxing. Wow.
That would be one of the critical questions I actually want to ask you.
Elon Musk would move to Suriname.
I want him to build a launch base.
Yeah, he would love to. I
know.
think. I don't know. I haven't asked him.
Well, he can increase his payload and decrease the amount of rocket fuel he'd need. So it would be an ideal location, and we create, a favorable regulatory environment for companies like his to thrive here. I do believe that it's very important that we start working as a world, and instead of fighting each other, start focusing towards building a type 2 civilization, interplanetary travel.
When I look at Suriname and I look at the ethnic mix of the population, you've achieved almost the nirvana of all people working together as one group. It's really quite astounding walking through the streets here and seeing the different peoples from everywhere and all the things, and yet everyone seems happy and working together. And I think your policies would be spectacular. I might even move here. But now I'm 84, so you're going to have an old folks home for me.
You're more than welcome, and we'll create something innovative for you as well. But aside from having launch bases here, there's so much more in innovation that you can actually just encourage by letting go as a government, right? And
exactly.
And creating an environment where innovation can actually thrive.
Yeah, I agree. Your people are your strength. And the people know far what's better for them than does government or any individual dictator or any individual person. And I think your idea of letting go, of letting the people decide what they would like to do, just make sure the rules are fair, across the board, and then let people play their own hands. And you will find this place just taking off. You will become the Switzerland, the Monaco, you'll become the Hong Kong of the world. And you know, there's no reason why it can't happen right here in Suriname.
No, I completely agree. I think there's enough strategies that we can apply.
And you'll want an old advisor, won't you?
No, definitely. I definitely.
I would grow a beard, but I've never been able to grow a beard. I'm not a beard type of guy. But
Well,
if I did,
I think it would age you.
I can't get much older.
No, I do believe that we have a very bright future ahead of us if we actually do make radical changes that are necessary to ensure the future of our country, which I think is very important. You know, it's not just dreams, we can actually achieve it.
Yes, you can.
We have the resources, we have the people. I mean, we can acquire the technology, we can create an environment that attracts talent to develop more technology. And we can be, you know, what Silicon Valley was a couple of decades ago, and what where most of technological innovation has shifted over the last couple of decades, it is shifting now to the global south, right?
Yes, it is.
We have the largest development gap, so we can.
Yeah, and the neatest thing about being in Suriname is you can pick and choose by looking at the world of what is 175 countries. You can look and see which countries have those policies that have worked the best and bring them in. That's what free trade's all about. If you want the best research medical center in the world, now that's one of the things that I think would be great because you really can have it, and you can have doctors come here, and you know that would be great for the health of the Surinamese people there. You can do data centers, you can do all sorts of things. You can have everything. You can have the arts. You can have opera, you can have dancers, you could even have Taylor Swift come here. I mean, you know, there's no limit to what Suriname can create with you as president and with you as guiding the policies to make sure that government does not stifle, that government releases the inner talents, not controls them.
Well, one of our strengths, for example, is our biodiversity, right? Biomedical. You know, why not have one of the best research centers in the world here?
And why not keeping the jungle the way it is? And maybe this will be the best jungle. I mean, it's supposedly right now about the best one. 93% of Suriname is really wild jungle, where Darwin lives, where all the creatures are sitting there competing to evolve into whatever else. It's I love this country. I never had any idea how much I'd like it until you showed me around and showed me this wonderful place. It's called Suriname.
It's the best kept secret in the Western Hemisphere.
That's true. It is. Well, I don't know what else to tell you that, but I think you've got the right track and you're going on the right way. And just remember, there's this old professor in Nashville, Tennessee, that will always answer your phone call and give you the best advice he can. This guy at 84 is not trying to build up his resume. All he's here is to try to make your life better and let you make better decisions for the people of Suriname. So thank you for allowing me to be here with you. It's just been a great pleasure.
Well, I highly appreciate you being here.
My pleasure.
I would like to close it with one last question.
Sure.
If I may. I would like to see the complete abolishment of taxes.
The what?
Abolishment of taxes. No taxes whatsoever. And move government from a tax-based system to a service-based system.
Why not?
Fees. Let's call it fees instead of calling it taxes. Instead of, I think you gave a really good example. Instead of beating the dog, incentivize the dog.
Yes.
Right? Give them, it's like a utility company, right? You pay for what you use versus being
given.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are you're exactly right. Here you have all of these natural resources. The natural resources are for the people of Suriname. Now, when you get a company in like Total, you mentioned Total coming in and developing those resources. Well, the resources, Total would pay for those resources. That would be your endowment, your sovereign fund, as you say. And you could use that to make sure there are no taxes in Suriname. Just make sure that you always appreciate the value of those resources, and you don't use it as an excuse to squander the money. That is the biggest problem you will face, is the temptation on the part of government to misuse those funds. Keep it set aside and make sure that people always appreciate the value of each dollar you earn, and do not squander your sovereign fund, and you will be able to be the best in the world.
Well, preferably it would be an independent institution of government, not a part of it.
But if you get rid of taxes, then, well, we got a little bit extra this year, above and beyond that, why don't we subsidize? No. Just make sure you get rid of tax, and you make sure you keep it so that you're not using those funds squandiferously. I use that, that's a new word, by the way. I just meant squandiferously, squander the money. Don't squander it. I look at all these other countries and governments, and I look at governments everywhere squandering the money. They tax until they're so indebted, then they can't breathe, and then they get exploited. Do never, ever, ever let Suriname borrow money from the IMF, from the Chinese, from anyone, because once you owe money to a country, you're their servant or their slave.
Right.
You've got enough resources to be able to be independent forever.
I agree. We should project our self-sovereignty.
Be Singapore.
Be Singapore. We can, similar to Singapore, who have no resources, similar to Suriname, we can be creative.
Yes.
Creative solutions, creative with trade, creative with logistics, and we can come up with creative solutions to finance government. And we can, with a population the size of ours, we can decrease the size of government, be more efficient.
Exactly.
Automate.
Yeah.
And diversify our economy.
Yeah, and let the people do what they want to do without the impediments and without the disincentives. And thank you for having me here. I just love it, love it, love it.
Thank you for coming.
And I wish you the best of luck coming this May.
Thank you. And I'm counting on you to help me make this a reality.
I will be there. If you need me, I'm like Batman. You got that thing, you signed up on the thing, the bat, remember that?
Yes.
You need me, I'll be there.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Maya.
Thank you.